Here's my video for 2024 BMR project and economics class. In this video, I'll be touching on various different forms of media and how they basically relate to economics and what we learned during this class. Okay, so the first piece of media is a film called The Inside Job. The Inside Job is basically a documentary that investigates the causes of the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. This film really provides a comprehensive and critical analysis of the events leading up to the crisis, exposing the role of key individuals, financial institutions, and government policies that may have caused this to happen. This film also critiques the systematic flaws in the financial industry, and it really raises questions about accountability, ethical considerations, and need to reform within the financial system to prevent a similar crisis in the future. So that's why I think this movie or documentary is very important. So firstly, this movie showed the financial crisis causes, as I said before. This film really explores the multiple factors that contributed to the 2008 financial crisis, including such as like risky lending practices, housing bubble, and lack of proper regulatory oversight. It highlights the interconnectedness of various financial institutions and their roles in the crisis. After watching this movie, what I thought is that for this financial crisis, there truly was people to blame for this, and those people should have been held accountable. So that takes me to my next point about accountability. So in this film, while watching it, I realized there was lots of lack of accountability from key players in the financial crisis. It criticizes the minimal legal consequences faced by individuals and institutions responsible for unethical or reckless behavior, emphasizing perceived lack of justice. This goes to show that, like, behind the scenes, people may be making selfish decisions, and all those decisions may have added up, and this was the consequence. It was found that there was actually influence by people on Wall Street. In this film, they really talk about the revolving door between Wall Street and the government that creates an environment where financial interests may take precedence over the public good. So basically what I'm saying here is that these people that work in this industry may take their own well-being, or the well-being of their companies, instead of what would be best for the public. And this was shown when there was a big financial crisis in 2008. And lastly, for this film, there was basically just a systematic issues in general. So in the document, they argue the problems leading to the financial crisis were systematic, pointing to deeper issues within the financial industry and the regulatory framework. It questions the sustainability of a system that allows excessive risk-taking and lots of etiquette safeguards. So from these notes I took, I really found that all these key factors really go hand in hand with each other, of it being systematic, people being selfish, and whatnot. If I had to tie this documentary into one key part we learned in class this semester, was about moral incentives, or rather just incentives themselves. For example, if these people that are accountable for this financial crisis, they would have had moral incentives not to be selfish for themselves and actually think it was best for the public. Overall, what I learned from this film is that within an economic system, there's lots of factors behind the scenes that you don't know about that tie into what happens. Okay, so my next piece of media I'll be reviewing is another film. It's the 2010 movie Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps. Just some quick background on this film. It's actually a sequel to the 1987 film Wall Street, and is directed by a man named Oliver Stone. The story is set against the backdrop of the 2008 financial crisis and follows the release of Gordon Gekko from prison. The film introduces a new protagonist, Jake Moore, a young and ambitious trader. So this movie is actually very similar to the previous movie I talked about, because it's around the 2008 financial crisis. Out of curiosity, I was just doing some research around the 2008 financial crisis, and it really inspired me to do both these movies, because I essentially just wanted to learn more about it and why it was so detrimental and what could have possibly caused it. But this movie speculates around a man named Jake as he really goes around a post-crisis financial landscape and how the world is after this event happened in 2008. First key takeaway I noticed in this movie was the speculation of risky and financial strategies in the world of high finance. The characters in the movie, they always engage in complex financial maneuvers, leveraging their positions and taking significant risks, reflecting the culture of risk-taking in the financial industry. Tying back to basically any Wall Street movie is that the men and the workers in the movie are always very greedy, wanting to make more money, and will go at extreme lengths to provide and get results. This movie really showed both sides of incentives, from moral and money-making incentives. For example, the movie really illustrated the interconnected nature of financial markets and personal relationships, going back to moral and money. It explores how financial decisions made on Wall Street can have profound effects on the individuals' lives in the movie, emphasizing the close ties between personal and economic. I found this interesting from any other movies I've seen, such as the Big Short, The Wolf on Wall Street, or the previous movie I talked about, because on this one, it shows both sides of it, and not just one side of one man that wants to make all the money, doesn't care about his family or anything. The other thing I found cool about this movie is how Jake Moore, the main character, he looks into what's popular then and what he thinks has potential. So then he invests in renewable energy and finance. So he's kind of trying to predict the market almost. The next piece I'll be talking about is actually a Netflix TV series called Ozark. So what I found in this movie is that it intertwines the criminal underworld with economic themes, showcasing the impact of financial decisions on individuals, families, and entire communities. The show provides a dark, intense portrayal of the intersection between money, crime, and economic challenges faced by those entangled with the world of illicit activities. Okay, so firstly, the central theme of this show is basically around money laundering. Marty Bride is tasked with finding ways to legitimize illegal gains of drug cartels through various businesses. The show really highlights on how hard this can be and the repercussions if you get caught. The Bird family faces economic desperation and life-threatening situations, forcing them to make difficult choices throughout the series. The series highlights the impact of financial strain on decision-making, as well as lengths individuals may go in order to secure their financial future. Another thing this movie showed is a local economy and business influence that certain economic decisions this family can be making has effect on their area and community as a whole. Lastly, they really go in depth about risk once again and entrepreneurship. So Marty Bride's role as a financial planner requires a high level of entrepreneurship as he navigates risky situations to protect his family and comply with the cartel's demands as he's basically laundering money for them throughout the entire show. The show portrays an entrepreneurial mindset and calculates risk involved in criminal enterprises. After watching some of the series and taking into account stuff we learned over the semester, is I could best intertwine this with capital gain and risk. Essentially, in this series, the characters, they take risk in dealing with the cartel and doing illegal activities for the sole reason of capital gain. But then eventually incentives kick in where they want to keep their family together, but economic change around them is able to tear them apart and have a huge impact on their family. So this is what I found interesting about this series. The next piece of media I'll be touching on is the Forbes. Just some background information. Forbes is basically just a well-known American business magazine that focuses on finance, investing, technology, entrepreneurship, and other related topics. Behind the scenes of Forbes are several economic aspects and businesses considerations that contribute to the predominance and success. So essentially, Forbes is is to just highlight wealth, essentially. I'm going to touch on what economic strategies they used and what really helped them become so popular. Forbes operates on a media business model, generating revenue through advertising, subscriptions, and sponsored content. The economic success of Forbes is closely tied to this, its ability to attract a wide readership, maintaining the attention of business professionals, investors, and entrepreneurs. So they'll talk about athletes, they'll talk about rappers, they'll talk about artists, pop artists, rock artists, soccer players, basketball players. They keep a super wide variety of who they talk about to keep everyone interested. Tying back to stuff we learned about supply and demand and what consumers may want to see. So Forbes is actually able to predict what people will want to see very well. They have great adaptations to industry trends. Forbes continually adapts to industry trends and technological advancements. They're really good at having the ability to leverage social media content, video content, merging technologies to stay relevant in a rapidly changing media landscape, because that's how they basically make most of their money, get all their attention, is through social media. I found the Forbes interesting because nowadays people don't usually keep up with articles and especially magazines with the new way we have all this technology and stuff. So I found it interesting and really smart how they're able to keep such a wide audience and be able to stay in business, essentially. The next piece of media I'll be talking on is a popular TV series called Shark Tank. To provide a little background on it, Shark Tank is a reality TV show where entrepreneurs pitch their business ideas to a panel of successful investors who are known as the Sharks in this case, and their hope of securing an investment from the Sharks. Each episode features various different entrepreneurs, and from tech innovations to consumer goods, services, there's lots of different products that they might pitch. Right off the bat, something I noticed in watching these episodes is people trying to sell the main piece that we learn in economics, which is goods and services. They'll have goods such as innovating products and business ideas. An economic takeaway from this is the importance of entrepreneurship and driving innovation and economic growth. Another big part in watching this is I notice how the Sharks are like venture capitalists and supporting startup companies with impactful strategies and investments on business growth. From the Sharks part, another thing that they always talk about is the Sharks always question the entrepreneurs about the market research and demand for their product. This really emphasizes the economic principle of understanding consumer needs and preferences before launching a business, because you don't want to launch a product and you spend all of this capital building it up and it turns out nobody wants it. So then you have a bunch of supply but no demand. The show also highlights the importance of financial literacy in business and economic success, because they always look at factors such as revenue, profit margins, and growth potential for these businesses. For this show to work, though, the Sharks also to get something out of it, like the entrepreneurs coming with their ideas. So there's basically a huge emphasis on risk and return, because they want the risk to be associated with opportunity of making lots of money. And they use the golden rule that is high risk, high reward. Out of all the media I've assessed through this BMR project and the previous one, Shark Tank has to be one of my favorites for the simple reason as it genuinely has the most examples of stuff we learn in class, and stuff we learn in class really helped me think about while watching this stuff, the reasoning behind everything, what they're saying, what they're doing, what the point of it is. Ultimately, Shark Tank has helped me really reflect on all the stuff we learned about and apply my learning while watching these. So in this BMR project, I looked at the medias, the film Inside Job, the film Wall Street Money Never Sleeps. I looked at the show Ozark. I looked at for a book, I looked at the Forbes magazine. And then finally, for another TV series, I looked at Shark Tank. Not just to reflect on this BMR project, but for this course as a whole, I learned that learning and applying economics is crucial for multiple reasons. Economics equips individuals with analytical tools to assess costs and benefits, enabling better decision making in personal and professional endeavors. As an individual that aspires to have their own business one day, understanding economics, I think, will really benefit me in that aspect. So that's a wrap on my 2024 BMR project. I must say again, this project really helped me think about the deeper meaning in these shows when watching them, because it helped me understand why people may do certain things and act a certain way. And ultimately, I'm able to understand the show better because I get a kind of a sense of what's going on in the character's head, or even like the business, like Forbes, and why they would make certain decisions in their business. So, thank you.